Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong.
You have an amazing opportunity, young generation, to rise above and be proud of the choices you're making and get out of a codependent culture and be responsible for you and work harder in your life than anyone else ever will.
What do you want? What do you want out of your life? Where do you want to go? If no one else will fight, I'll be the one. I'll be the one to step into their world. I'll be the one to walk with them.
And I mean it more than you'll ever know.
Some people will ghost you. Well, then maybe they're not real friends. At some point in time in your life, you are going to have to come face to face with yourself.
Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time?
Then she points at me and she goes, there's greatness inside of you. Sometimes we need people to believe things for us until we can believe it for ourselves. Because I look at what I'm doing now and it's not lining up with what they said I couldn't do. And now I'm doing everything that people said I couldn't do. Because now I travel the world and I share my story.
Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong.
And by the time I was 26, I was sitting in 30-day inpatient treatment for alcohol. My family wanted nothing to do with me, couldn't hold a job. I was codependent, all because I thought I could get away with it. I should probably have about 10 DUIs. I only have 2. My last one was June 24th, 2010. That was the DUI that changed my life.
For it to hurt more, to stay the same. When I get through this storm, I'll find it on my own. And I'll mean it more than you'll ever know.
And so I'm going to talk about connection and belonging. We're looking for a place to belong where someone can come out and say, hey, we want you here. I want you here. We want you around. We say we live in such a connected world. If that's the case, if we really say we're more connected, then why is everybody more depressed?
There's no dumb kid. There's no worthless kid. There's only kids that have been starved of love and have been wounded so badly we're just looking for a place to lay. We can't change the history, but we can help shape their future.
Next time I'm getting it right.
Take one thing that you want to focus on to overcome in your life. Take one thing at a time and walk through the process. The process is only a process if one stays in it. If you don't stay in the process, then it's no longer a process. Stay in the process.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pure Purpose Podcast. First ever live show. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. It is an amazing honor to be walking with you on this journey. And what better way to do this than do it live? And so in today's episode, we are going to be covering one big topic that I feel is super relevant to the world we are living in today. Okay, it's living real in a counterfeit and or social media world. So we're going to jump right in. Real quick, before we get going though, I want you to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Pure Purpose Podcast. Also, I would love for you to go like our Facebook page, the Pure Purpose Podcast. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and turn that music off, buddy, so we can jump right in. One moment here. All right. We're good to go. I think we're good. Sorry. We're trying to get some stuff going here. All right. We're going to jump right into this. But real quick, Lisa, what's going on? Good to see you all. Hey, again, leave your comments in here. Leave your comments in here. We'll get to them at the end of it. Turn that down. Sorry, we have some technical difficulties, but hey, good to see you all. Leave your comments in the bottom. We'll get to it at the end. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. So we're going to jump right into this thing. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Pure Purpose Podcast. Go like the Facebook page. Thank you for the love and support. We've been doing the podcast since November. Going to keep it going. There's no doubt about it. And so we're going to keep going. All right. So here we are. I'm going to talk about living real in a counterfeit world. This is the biggest problem that I see with the young generation. Okay. I see so much of this. And this is the one of the things that actually makes me super nervous for them, okay? It makes me super nervous for if you're a young kid, not even just the young generation, this is in young adults too, and even grown-ups, but we have manufactured a world because of what social media has done, because of what our society has walked into. We have manufactured a world that actually has caused a lot of people not to live real. So I want to talk a little bit about when I lived in a fantasy world. One of the things that was the hardest thing for me is I lived in such a fantasy world. When I played college football, a lot of you know my story. I played college football at Michigan State University. A lot of times Division I athletes feel like we're super above the law. Okay. And so we feel like we're above the law. And so, matter of fact, we start creating this illusion in things and we start living a certain way. And I, for one, bought into that fairy tale that I can do whatever I want, that I can be whatever I want, and I don't have to actually back up my consequences that come with my choices. And so it took me years after I got out of college because I never stepped to the plate and I never actually took things head on. I never actually got to a place where I looked at reality for exactly what it was. And so because I didn't at 19 years old or even 18 years old, because I really didn't play by the rules, I wanted to do my thing. Many years later, that all caught up with me. Okay. And so when I lived the fantasy world and I lived a false reality that later on I would have to once again come up against myself. I tell the young kids so much today. I tell them every time I see them, I'm running this program in Northeast Colorado. It was a good year, just finished up the first year of a 2-year contract. And so what I talk to the young kids about a lot, and I said this in the podcast before, at some point in time, you will come face to face with yourself. There's no way around it. You're going to have to deal with the things that are inside of you. And they can either be your roadblock to stop you from going forward, or they can actually be a launching pad and learn from the experiences and heal from the hurts and pains that you've been through to get to the other side. And I want you all to be equipped for it to be a launching pad for you to get to the other side. And so one of the few things I'm going to give you today, I'm going to give you 4 things. And I want you to assess this because this is how you live real in a social media or counterfeit world that we live in. We need to bring the truth to people. We have to bring real. We have so many things going on in our world today that not many people want to live real. Not many people want to face reality and for what it is. And I'm going to be counter to a culture. It's not going to help anybody if I don't tell them the truth. It's not going to help everybody if I don't give them exactly what they need. And so one of the things we're going to talk about today is, have I created the illusion? There's a big illusion with social media today. There's a big, big, big illusion. Have I created the actual illusion? Meaning, have I bought into the narrative that I'm only going to live the highlight reel? If you've bought into the false illusion that, you know what, everyone's life represents a life better than mine, if you've bought into it that your choices don't have consequences, if you've bought into just the overall that you can really say what you want to say and you don't have to stand behind that, then I believe you have created the illusion. Okay. And so one of the ways to live real in a counterfeit world is if you get out of the illusion to say, you know what is reality? A lot of exercises that I do with my young kids, and I do a lot of exercises, but one of the main exercises I do is I tell them to say, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a T chart. And on the left side, I want you to write lies. On the right side, I want you to write truth. And what I do with that is I tell them, what are all the lies that you're believing right now? And a lot of the times what I tell these young kids, especially when I see it, is the foundation that they start with is actually a lie. It's actually not the truth, right? And so that's where they start. And so it's like I used an example that if I have a run-in with someone and that's the first time I ever meet them, and then that's our interaction, maybe it doesn't go so well and I think, oh, they're a jerk or whatever. Well, going forward, what will happen is I will have that foundation that they are a jerk, and I would never take the time to actually get to know who they are. So I'm always going to have that misconception that they are that one thing, that one time. And so you have to understand your foundation. Where am I living from? Okay. Where am I living from? You have to know. And so doing the truth. So have you created the illusion? There's a big thing that you can do, the T chart, lies and truth. What do you believe about one, yourself? What do you believe about other people? And what do you believe about the world around you? That can be a big measuring stick of if you have created the illusion or not. Okay, so I want you to understand, let's go assess it. Have we created the illusion? Okay, how do you uncreate the illusion? You choose to believe the opposite of those lies. If you think you can't trust people, you have to get to the other side and start healing from that, walking with someone through that. And the only way you're going to learn to trust again is if you actually step out and start trusting people, right? Exercise that. And so that's how you uncreate that illusion. And so if you've created the illusion, it's okay. You can come back out of that illusion, but that is one of the things you're going to have to do if you want to live real in the world that we live in today. I am looking for the real thing. When people see the real thing, they look at that and they say, I don't know what that is, but man, it's something worth following. And I want everyone that's going to listen to this and see this podcast, I want them to be someone that's worth following. And you have it all inside of you. Okay. The second thing is, how do I know if I'm living real? Okay. I get that question a lot from the young kids. How do I know if I'm actually living real? Okay. One of the things that I tell kids, the biggest indicator that you could tell if you're actually living in this real world is start asking some people around you. Start asking, hey, do I look at things the way they should? Do I live in actual reality when I'm dealing with things, or do I try to run from my problems? Okay, that's what you have to ask yourself is how do I know if I'm living real? Do I run from my problems? Do I try to put my responsibilities on someone else? Or do I actually take responsibility and take ownership and become an owner and stop being a renter and say, you know what? I need to be responsible. If I do it, I have to stand behind it. I want you to start becoming a person that can put your name on every single thing that you do. Are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely, you're going to make mistakes. That's part of life. Matter of fact, I tell kids all the time, allow room for mistakes. It's going to be a thing, but it's when you learn from those mistakes and you get through them. And so that's how you know if you're living real. You have to look at it. Are you looking at everything the right way? Or do you think the world revolves around you? If you think the world revolves around you, then chances are you're not living real. And what you'll do is you'll just add to more of the illusion that we just talked about. You'll add to more of the illusion that, you know what, this life is what I want it to be. And it doesn't matter. I don't have to play by the rules because everyone's going to bow to me. No, 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 young ones, and even adults. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Sure, you have boundaries and you can live by that, but you have to be able to know when you are living real, okay? And when you are not living real. I can tell all the time, 110%, when I am off and I'm living in Bobby's world. That's what I call it. When I'm living in Bobby's world, I can tell that it doesn't feel well. I'm not centered. I'm not on. And so I have to go back to the drawing board and I have to say, okay, what am I believing about my situation right now that's causing me to not be real? You have to go back to the drawing board. Part of this is knowing the boundaries within yourself. Where are you getting out of alignment? Where are you getting out of bounds? Because that's going to be part of how you know you're not living real. Once you start pushing the boundaries and say, okay, if I just do this and cut this corner here and do this, then I'll get away with it. But what happens is it pushes you further out of bounds and it becomes a thing where do you draw the line to say, I have to stop what I'm doing? How do I know if I'm living real? Well, I can tell you this. The biggest indicator is if you know that you're playing by the rules and you're living on life's terms. Okay. How do I know if I'm living real? This next one's for my leaders. Following tendencies. I love talking about this one. Okay. Because I see so many kids that are leaders, tons of kids that are leaders, but they have following tendencies. Meaning a lot of people will just jump in the flow. I call it jumping in the flow of crazy. And when you jump in the flow of crazy, all you're doing is you're amplifying something that you know is not going to serve you well in the long run. And so if you're a leader and you have following tendencies, I want you to start looking at turning that ship around. Meaning if everyone's going this way, then it's probably in your best interest for the most part, unless it's just completely rebelling, to go the other way, right? Like one of the things I will tell you with this is I know many other speakers, okay? Many other speakers, they have tons more followers than I do. Absolutely, they do. I can tell you some right now that have 50,000, 100,000, different things like that. But here's the one thing that I know about me. I'm trying to live so counter in a culture that acts like likes and follows are equal self-worth. I'm trying to live so counter in a culture that says you have to be exactly this way. And I'll tell you one thing, that my true authentic message has got me more opportunities than anything else. And I don't have a huge following on social media, but that doesn't validate who I am, right? I love my message because it's real and it's authentic. Matter of fact, I was thinking about this today, and a lot of schools get so shocked when they're like, well, you don't have this big presentation. No, I don't. I don't have this big presentation. I have me and a microphone because I believe that the kids need the message. They need the message more than they need anything else. And so when that message comes, okay, when we give them that message, that's the stuff that's going to penetrate their hearts. That's the stuff that's going to change them from the inside out. Okay. And so I want you to start saying, if you feel like you're a leader, and here's what I tell people to pay attention to. It's those things inside of you that when you know you're going with the crowd and things that you shouldn't be, it's those things inside of you that just don't sit well. It's that when maybe people are being picked on and you're like, oh, that just doesn't, those are all signs that you are actually a leader, because there's certain things that if you go with the crowd, they should feel good. But if they don't, you have to start asking yourself, I'm too much in the flow of crazy. I am following people when I know that I'm called to lead people. Okay. And so this is what I want to see. I actually love when I see young kids step up and take lead in their schools, because nowadays a lot of young kids don't want to go against their peers. And I see tons of following tendency when I know kids are leaders. And so what I do is, especially in this program, I grab those
All right. That should work. All right. If we work at the kinks right now, we won't have any more kinks down the road. Okay. So I appreciate y'all. We'll definitely, Tyler, I want you to edit that out real quick. And I know you will. I got my producer on, Tyler Sanchez. He's a dope dude. But anyways, even if it's those kids that no one else would look at as leaders, right? I grab those kids and I say, hey, I see something inside of you and I want to help hone that with you. I want to help really you bring that out of you, because in the world we live in, we need a true voice. We need a true voice. Okay. And so if you have following tendencies, it's time to turn that around right now. And the last thing, okay, and then we're going to hop off of here. We're going to keep it almost the length of the podcast, normal podcast. Why is it so important to be liked? Okay. This is another reason why this world has gotten super highlight reelish. That's why this world has gotten super counterfeit. Okay, why is it so important to be liked? It's because we have associated likes and follows with self-worth. And so I want to switch that for you. I want to challenge you to rise up in your identity. Okay. I want to challenge you to rise up in your identity and say, the only thing that's going to define me or the character that I want to live by, that's the thing that's going to define me. It's not going to be people, because here's what I'm going to tell you. And this is not by me. This is a quote by a rapper named Lecrae. He said, if you live for people's acceptance, you'll die from the rejection. And I see so many young kids that are trying to really be liked so much that they're losing themselves in the midst of it. And in the end, what's going to happen is you're going to have to hold up that persona that you've put off to people. And if that's not who you really are, at some point in time, that's going to be exposed. If you don't care about being liked, if you change the verbiage to, I don't need it, but I want it, that is going to be a big relief for you going forward. That's going to be a big relief when you decide who you're going to pick as friends and who you're going to let walk with you in the journey that we call life. Okay. Why is it so important to be liked? That's another reason why we live in a counterfeit world. I don't want you to worry about being liked. I want you to be yourself. I want you to be kind. I want you to be exactly who you were created to be. But if you're doing it for any other reason than because that's who you are, it's time to reevaluate and look at some different things. I want to answer a question or even just read a comment here. And I don't understand why people can't live by the simplest and old saying, treat others the way you want to be treated. Absolutely, Lisa. The big thing about this is this, okay? A lot of people don't like themselves. This is how I disarm bullying in schools. A lot of people don't like themselves, especially when it comes to young kids. They do not like themselves. And so you're only going to reflect. If you don't like yourself, you're going to reflect yourself out to other people. We are asking a lot from someone. We say, why can't we just be, and I love the comment, but my point is if someone is treating others not in a good way, it's only because you don't feel good about yourself. Okay. And that comes, only way you can feel good about yourself is if you go after the healing. A lot of people live with tons of pain. Okay. That's another reason why we live in a counterfeit world too, is because a lot of people live with tons and tons of pain at the end of the day. And they project that out because it makes them feel better. In turn, it actually, in reality, what doesn't make them feel better? It actually makes them feel worse in the long run. But in the moment, they think it makes them feel better. And so having compassion for those people and being in a situation to say, hey, I understand you're hurting. Let's actually talk about that. And maybe we can get some help for you so you can get past that. Because what happens is you keep hitting a ceiling every single time. And sometimes you have to be able to break through that ceiling. Otherwise, you're going to get what you get. And then you don't throw a fit, right? One of the things that I challenge young kids to do is to go after healthy living. I get so bothered in this young generation in our world today how pain and victimhood is so glorified because it's simply look at what happened to me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And at the end of the day, that is what's being glorified today. But I'm challenged. Again, I'm coming counter in a culture that says, oh, look at me, poor me, and I'm the victim and I'm hurting. No, 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 no. Okay? Let's become a victor and let's overcome the things that will always hold us up. And one day, especially when you're young, you're going to want a family and you're only going to give your kids what you have. And so the question that I ask you is, what legacy what do you want to leave behind? And what do you want to give your kids that maybe you didn't get for yourself? Thank you for spending time with us. Excited. We're going to be here next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Hopefully the technical difficulties will be all out of the way. Go like us on Facebook, as I said, the Peer Purpose Podcast. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, you can find this tomorrow morning. It's going to go live at 4 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. And if you listen to it and you didn't see the video and you didn't see the live stream, then go ahead and leave a review. You're going to be okay. I'm fighting for you. I'm walking with you. And you are going to walk the gold out in the greatness that's inside of you because that's simply who you are. I love y'all, and I'll see you next time.
Next time.